today we are going to see a lot of interesting topics. Agenda. I'll show the agenda in the next slide. Okay. So probably we can ask questions at the end of the session. Thank you. Thank you for joining us once again. So these are the agendas which we are trying to see today. Okay, we are trying to wind up our webinar around 40 to 45 minutes. And if we have time, we can discuss more question and answers at the end of the session. Okay, so the first important thing is like electronic cooling introduction and the cooling techniques. What is the requirement, design requirements, and need and prerequisite for simulation? Some practical scenarios we are trying to see here. Cooling mechanisms and methodologies. What if simulation is not done? And what are the types of softwares supports electronic cooling simulation? And what are the career path, roles, and opportunities available today in across the globe or across the industries, various industries? Okay, yeah. Hope my voice is clear now. Sorry. I'm going to the next slide. Okay, so shall I repeat the agenda or shall I go to the next slide?
Yeah, you can proceed with the next step.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so electronic cooling introduction. Okay, so generally, all the electronic devices generate excessive heat due to internal losses. Okay, so everyone come across any electronic devices in home appliances or in industrial applications. Okay, you cannot touch the surface of the electronic devices while it is running. Okay, you might have experienced that kind of scenario in your real time practical life. Okay, for example, okay, I'm trying to explain. If you take a mobile phone, okay, if you take your Wi-Fi modem, okay, sometimes it may become very hot. Okay, but it is a touchable, but the temperature is kind of a 40 to 45 degree on the surface of the particular device. Okay, so it is not comfortable while using it. Okay, these electronic devices generally generate excessive heat due to losses happening inside the system. That leads to highly non-uniform power dissipation. Why? In a sense, so whenever the laptop is giving excessive heat, okay, that means the processor is trying to give the output to the maximum extent. Okay, so the power dissipation may go non-uniform everywhere. Okay, whenever the processor designed for 15 watt, I'm just trying an example here. Okay, when we start working on a Microsoft Word, Skype camera, and a big file transfer from a hard disk, this leads to a highly non-uniform power dissipation from the processor. Okay, that is what I'm trying to say. Excuse me. Sorry. 100% efficiency is not achievable in a real-time scenario. Okay, that is because of the losses which we incurred around the devices. Okay, I'm going to the next slide. There are lot of cooling techniques available in industries. Okay, but general cooling techniques are listed here. Okay, one is conduction, second is convection, third is radiation. Sorry for the typo error here on the middle. Okay, it is conduction. Okay, the first picture which I represent, let me take a laser pointer. Okay, I get it. Thank you. The first picture which I represented is a convection. Okay, convection heat transfer happens, okay, from through air. The heat is transferred through the fluid molecules to the body. The second, the middle picture, it's actually a conduction. Sorry for the typo error. It's like a direct contact. Okay, the heat is transferred directly to the surface of the body. Okay, this is just an example picture which I'm showing here. Okay, when a pan which is placed on a stove, gas stove, okay, the heat is directly touching the bottom of the surface. Okay, that is called as conduction. In the first picture, if you take the pan just a little height, when you open the stove, okay, through the air, the bottom of the surface is getting heat. Okay, that is called as convection phenomena. Radiation is straightforward. It's entirely through electromagnetic waves. Okay, whenever the pan which is on the gas stove, that means heat is transferred to the pan, but the pan which emits energy through electromagnetic waves. Okay, so that is called as nothing but radiation. Okay, so the cooling techniques which we generally use everywhere in the industry for electronics cooling use these techniques: conduction, convection, radiation. These three modes of heat transfer, okay, uh, definitely should consider whenever we are doing electronic cooling analysis or electronic cooling simulations. In practical, okay, the conduction and convection radiation, how it happens in the electronic devices, we can see in a further slides. Design requirements. So when you ask for the topic like design requirements, what are the requirements? So if a company gives a project, okay, for design electronic devices, okay, the first question which I would ask is, what is the thermal design power? That means, what is the maximum operating power in which that processor takes? Okay, so I can use i3 processor, I can use i5 processor, I can use i7 processor. Okay, the processor varies and the power wattage varies. So that's the first question which I ask, okay, for designing an electronic device is TDP, thermal design power, maximum operating power. So this is the base, so which we can start designing other components. Second, cooling efficiency. Third, heat transfer efficiency. Okay, so these are the just numbers that cooling efficiency should be, cannot be 100%, but it can be 90%. Heat transfer efficiency cannot be 100%, but it can be 80 to 85%. Okay, and every electronic device across in our home appliance or industries, they generally have fans, they generally have blowers. Okay, even in our laptop which we are using, okay, you might hear the noise of the fan. Okay, so we have to consider the particular requirement as noise. Okay, the noise is comes in a decibels. You should not go more than 30 decibels if the requirements are. If the requirement is, it should not go more than 45 decibels. That is one of the important requirements which you should get from your project management. Last but one, environmental conditions. Whether this electronic device is placed in a hot desert or in an AC room, okay, that conditions we have to know. Okay, if it is a hot desert, the outside temperature should be around 45 degree. But in an AC environment, the temperature around your device is around 22 to 24 degree. Okay, that particular conditions we should know. The last one, but is very important, the space. Okay, how much space I get? Okay, so I cannot place a bigger electronic device. Okay, and now there is a miniature in every electronic device. Our phones is getting miniatured. Its minimum thickness is 7 millimeters. And even our laptops, mini laptops has come. Minimum thickness is around 13 millimeters. Okay, so space is the important criteria. So we should select accordingly the modules. We should select accordingly the heat sinks or accordingly the fans and blowers. Okay, so this is the design requirements which we generally ask whenever we get a project. Okay, yeah, I'm going to the next slide. Need for simulation. So why are we doing simulation? Okay, so to optimize the electronic package, that is first. Okay, and simulation helps to have efficient thermal management. In the sense, okay, if we have a heat pipe of thickness 1 millimeters and also of 5 millimeters, okay, the testing takes expensive. Testing is expensive, but we can design and we can simulate easily and we can see which is effective. So that effective thermal management comes from simulation. Third point, expensive testing. Exactly right. So testing is actually inexpensive. Okay. So because we need to order a material and the material lead time is around 3 to 5 weeks or 3 to 6 weeks, we have to get a material and start testing, and we have to put a manpower to do a testing. We have to certain a cases. Okay, that will take long time. So the testing is expensive. That's why we go for a simulation. Fourth, test versus numerical results correlation. So before simulation comes into picture, industries doing lot of testing, doing testing in using manpowers. Okay, they have got n number of results. So we have to correlate. The basic fundamental principle has to correlate between test and numerical results. So why? In the sense, we have to get a confident that these numerical results are correct. Second, that leads to the accuracy of the results. Okay, so in the software, you can change a lot of solver parameters, lot of solvers to get much accuracy results. Okay, so thus this decreases the product development time. For example, I'm trying to say if the product development is 18 months, generally if we are doing a project of a mobile phone, the product development time is around 18 months. If we follow the traditional approach of testing, okay, so 18 months is not enough. Okay, so that means we have to have a more time to do a testing and correlate and to do a prototype and launch to the market. But in simulation, okay, 18 months product development time can be reduced so that you can save the cost of manpower. Okay, you can save the cost of testing. Okay, you can save the overall cost, material cost, waiting for the material. Okay, that also will reduce. So everything will be correlated. Okay, thank you. I'm going to the next slide. What is the prerequisite for simulation? So whenever we do simulation, we have some requirements. We already discussed, we have around 6 to 7 requirements. Okay, is that requirement is good enough? Okay, yeah, thank you.
Just a minute, I'll ask the participants. Participants, if you can see my screen, please type S in the chat box. Yes, Mr. Ram, good to go.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, everyone. I think I have some issues on the network. Okay, so what I was trying to say, when we got a design requirement, okay, the first thing which we create is a CAD model, 2D and 3D, two-dimensional and three-dimensional. The second is material data. If I go for an aluminum heat sink in the market, it's readily available, so I can directly go and download the sheet and I can order the aluminum heat sink. Choosing or selection of materials is an advanced option we can think of later, but now the readily available material is we can easily grab from the market. Third, input boundary conditions. Input boundary conditions is what is the environmental conditions? Okay, whenever, if I'm just taking an example of a laptop. A laptop is using in an AC environment, which the temperature is approximately 22 degrees. Okay, and it sits on the table. Okay, and I use Skype and file transfer. Okay, and these are the applications which I use. Okay, that means the processes start working for our requirements. Okay, so these are the boundary conditions which we gather and we try to keep it for the analysis. Expected output. What is the expected output in thermal analysis is temperature, heat flux. What is the expected output from the CFD, computational fluid dynamics? Velocity, pressure, turbulence nature. Okay. What is the expected output from the structure point of view is nothing but a stress and strain. Okay, so these are the prerequisite for simulation is needed. We gather a lot of information before starting the analysis, before building the model. Next slide, please, Ms. Saisoma. Okay, we are going to see some practical scenarios on the analysis. Okay, we have around 4 cases, but by just seeing the pictures, I'll try to explain what is actually in that. We are taking any electronic devices. If you open any electronic devices, probably one component which you always see is heatsink. Okay, so on the right side, we have a figure. So here we can say we have a heatsink. The heatsink is placed on a PCB, printed circuit board. There are a lot of ICs might be there. The processor is actually hidden. The processor is below the heatsink. Other electronic components like capacitors and everywhere in the board. So what are the physics involved in the analysis? Okay, so we got design requirements. Okay, and we collected a lot of prerequisites for analysis. And the next step is, what are the physics I should analyze? Is it only thermal or is it only CFD or both? Okay, so thermal, because processor is there, processor is generating heat, so the heat sink might get hot. So thermal physics is involved. Okay, so when I see the picture here, there is no fan. That means it's a natural convection process. Natural convection or free convection. Okay, so this heat sink is cooled by the surrounding air, not by any external forces. Third, structures. If this electronic component is subjected to continuous power environment, if it is switched on, okay, for more than 10 days, what happened to the PCB board? What happened to the structure which is involved? That we have to analyze. Environment. Okay, so if this is designed for AC environment, uncertainty may come if this electronic component placed in a hot desert, what will happen? So that we have to analyze. Noise. So we don't want to worry about noise here because we don't have any fan. Okay, this is kind of a practical scenario of a simple chip with a heat sink. Okay, it can be analyzed using electronic cooling simulation. Okay, so the approach or the simulation methodology we can discuss little later, but this from start of small electronic component we can start discussing how we can do it. Next slide please, Ms. Saisuma. Okay, you might see this configuration in your desktop. Okay, you might see this configuration in a probably a laptop if you are opened that. There is a heat sink. There is a fan. Okay, there are lot of PCBs and ICs. The processor is hidden. Other electronics like capacitors. Now we will analyze what is the physics involved. First, so the processor is hidden. The heat sink is placed on the processor generally. So the heat sinks will become hot. So we should find the temperature, junction temperature, the processor temperature, and the heatsink temperature. So thermal physics is involved. Second, we have CFT. I mean, we have a fan here. So force convection, the fan starts running whenever the processor gets on. Third, structures. Okay, the heatsink is huge. There is a fan. There is a lot of weight acting on the PCB board. Okay, so the PCB board might get damaged. The structure also important. Environment we also discussed. Okay. Fourth, noise. The fan is running. Okay, so it should give some noise to the environment. It should not go with the comfort level. Okay, if the fan is running too noisy, we cannot work. So that also we have to take care. Yeah. Next slide, please, Ms. Saisuma. So this is also another scenario. Okay, this is a kind of inside the laptop or inside the desktop. The components which we see here, there is a fan, radial fan. There is a radial fan and there is a golden color heat pipe that is called as heat pipe. Okay, we can discuss little later what is heat pipe. Okay, there is no heat sink here. What are the physics involved here? Thermal physics. Fan is there. There is a CFD and structures because lot of components sitting on the board. The board will have a huge stress. Okay, the fan is there, so we should have a noise. And there is an environment. If it is a laptop, it's a complete closed system. Okay, that means whatever the heat is generating inside the laptop, that has to go out. Okay, so these are the physics involved. So what we see here actually, we collected the design requirements. We collected some information on prerequisite for simulation. Now we analyzed some components and we analyzed what are the physics involved. Okay, so in a real-time scenario, we are not only doing thermal analysis. We are not only doing CFD analysis. We are trying to do a multi-physics analysis. That means combining both temperature, okay, and flow, CFD, in a real-time environment. In a practical scenario, nothing is single physics. Everything is a multi-physics. Multi-physics, in the sense, combining these two physics will give better results, okay, will exactly match the test results. The numerical results will exactly match with the test results. Okay. Please go to the next slide, Ms. Sai Suma.